Worry is a misuse of imagination. It takes the same creative force we use to dream, to invent, to solve problems, and turns it against us. Instead of visualizing solutions or imagining better outcomes, we start painting mental pictures of everything that could go wrong. It's like rehearsing failure in advance, as if doing so will somehow prepare us or protect us. But it doesn't. It only drains us. It paralyzes our decision-making, clouds our judgment, and pulls us into a cycle of hesitation. The human mind is incredibly powerful. It can build bridges where none existed and connect dots that others can't see. That's imagination at its best. But when worry takes over, we begin using that same power to create elaborate scenarios of loss, rejection, or disaster, none of which are real in the moment. We live through pain that hasn't happened yet and might never happen at all. We plan escape routes for problems we haven't even faced. We assume the worst and brace for impact before anything has actually hit. The truth is, worry tricks us into thinking we're being responsible. It wears the mask of preparation, but there's a difference between assessing risk and obsessing over outcomes we can't control. Preparation leads to confidence. Worry leads to paralysis. And in that paralysis, we miss opportunities. We stop trusting ourselves, our teams, or the process that brought us this far. If imagination is the soil where vision grows, then worry is the weed that chokes the roots before they take hold. The same mind that can build something beautiful is the same mind that can destroy possibility. If we let worry take over, it's not about silencing imagination, it's about redirecting it toward trust, action, and vision. Trust grows when we act despite fear. Fear isn't the enemy, it's a signal. It tells us we're stepping into something unknown, something that matters. The presence of fear means there's risk, but it also means there's potential. Waiting for fear to disappear before making a move is a trap. The people who build trust in themselves and in others are the ones who show up anyway. They make the call, take the leap, speak the truth, not because they're fearless, but because they've decided to move forward with the fear sitting right beside them. Every time we take action in the face of uncertainty, we reinforce an internal message. I can handle this. I don't need to know the full path. I just need to take the next step. That's how trust builds, through evidence. Small wins, honest effort, forward motion. When we show ourselves that we can survive discomfort, recover from missteps, and still make progress, trust grows. It's the same in leadership. A leader who pretends they're not afraid becomes unrelatable. A leader who says, "I'm not sure how this ends, but I believe it's worth trying," invites others to step forward too. Action is contagious, so is courage. When we demonstrate that fear doesn't define our choices, we give others permission to do the same. Trust doesn't come from thinking harder or collecting more guarantees. It comes from motion, from doing the thing even when the voice in your head says you're not ready, especially then. It's in the showing up, the trying again, the deciding to keep going, that we build the muscle of trust. Not once, not perfectly, but consistently. It's not about never feeling fear, it's about refusing to let it be the one behind the wheel. Purpose is stronger than uncertainty. When you have a clear reason for doing what you do, the unknown becomes less intimidating. You still feel the weight of doubt, the fog of unpredictability, but you move anyway, because the purpose pulls you forward. It becomes a compass when the map is unclear. Uncertainty will always be a part of growth, risk, and change. But purpose gives you a reason to keep walking even when you can't see the whole path. Most people think they need clarity before they can begin. But the truth is, clarity comes through movement, and movement is powered by purpose. It answers the deeper question, why does this matter? Why is this worth it? Without that answer, uncertainty feels overwhelming. Every setback feels like a sign to quit. Every delay feels like failure. But with purpose, those same challenges become part of the process. They don't shake you as easily because you're anchored in something real. Purpose isn't just a motivational phrase or a business slogan. It's a deeply personal connection to meaning. It's what gets you out of bed when motivation is gone. It's what steadies your voice when everything else is noisy. In leadership, purpose creates alignment. In life, it creates resilience. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't need to predict the future, but you do need to know why you're showing up again and again. When uncertainty tries to slow you down, purpose reminds you that you're not just chasing success. You're chasing something that matters, something bigger than approval, perfection, or immediate result. That shift in focus changes how you approach the unknown. You begin to see it not as a wall, but as a doorway to growth. And suddenly, uncertainty loses its power to control you. Leaders inspire by believing in what's possible. They don't just manage tasks, they shape belief. When a leader walks into a room with conviction in the future, people feel it. Not because everything is guaranteed, but because someone is willing to believe out loud. That belief creates space for others to step up, to contribute, to imagine a different outcome. It's not about pretending to have all the answers. It's about choosing to see potential where others see limitation. Belief is contagious. When someone genuinely believes that progress is possible, that growth is possible, that change is possible, it sparks something. People want to be part of a vision that dares to go beyond the current obstacle. They want to know that their efforts matter. Leaders who inspire are the ones who keep their eyes on what could be, even when the present is messy or uncertain. They hold the picture of the future and invite others to help build it. In times of doubt or difficulty, people naturally look to those who seem grounded, not in control, but grounded. That grounding doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from believing that together a way forward can be found. Leaders become a source of stability, not because they eliminate fear, but because they refuse to be ruled by it. They lean into trust, they lean into vision, and they lean into people. This doesn't require a title. Leadership is not about authority, it's about influence. Anyone can be the one to believe. Anyone can choose to speak possibility instead of pessimism. In every meeting, every decision, every challenge, there's a choice. Focus on what's broken or focus on what's possible. Leaders who inspire always choose the latter, not blindly but intentionally, because they understand belief is the first brick in building something better. Fear protects, but worry paralyzes. Fear is a biological signal designed to keep us alive. It tells us to slow down, pay attention, stay alert. It kicks in when something matters, when there's risk, danger, or vulnerability. Fear, in its purest form, is useful. It heightens our senses, sharpens our instincts, and helps us prepare. But worry is different. Worry is fear stretched out over time, imagined over and over, until it becomes a loop with no resolution. It doesn't help us prepare, it keeps us stuck. Worry creates an illusion of productivity. It feels like thinking, but it's really just spinning. The same thoughts repeated again and again without action, without decision, without resolution. It takes energy but gives nothing in return. And over time, that constant state of anticipation drains our ability to move forward. We start hesitating where we once moved freely. We second guess what we already know. We stop trusting our judgment and start outsourcing our confidence. The key difference is that fear usually shows up in a moment. It's an alert, but worry lingers. It attaches itself to everything. Our work, our relationships, our goals. It becomes a habit. We begin bracing for things that haven't happened, preparing for conversations that may never come, rehearsing every possible wrong turn instead of focusing on the road ahead. And when worry takes root, it becomes harder to tell the difference between a real threat and a phantom one. Fear can be honored, it can guide us, it reminds us we're stepping into something meaningful, but worry should be questioned, not indulged, not justified, but gently challenged, because left unchecked, worry steals the very clarity and courage we need to make progress. It disconnects us from the present and drowns out the signals that matter most. Momentum begins with the next right step, not the perfect plan, not the guaranteed outcome, just the next step. When we're overwhelmed, when everything feels uncertain or too big to handle, the mind tends to search for full clarity before acting. We wait for the perfect moment, the full picture, the green light from the universe. But progress rarely comes in one giant leap. It comes from moving forward one decision, one action at a time. There's power in simplicity. When we ask ourselves, what's the next right thing I can do? We bring the focus back to something manageable. Not the 10 things that could go wrong, not the endless scenarios playing out in our heads. Just one small, meaningful move, and that move creates motion. It doesn't have to be big to be real. It just needs to happen. Because once you take that first step, you've shifted the energy. You're no longer stuck in place. You're engaged with the process. Momentum isn't about speed, it's about direction. Even a small shift, when consistent, can lead to significant transformation. The important part is that you're no longer passive, you're responding, you're choosing, you're taking ownership of where you are and where you want to go. That sense of movement builds confidence, confidence fuels clarity, and clarity reinforces action. Too often we think change requires grand gestures or overnight results, but the truth is, most meaningful progress happens quietly. It's the email you send, the phone call you make, the idea you finally write down. It's choosing to speak up, choosing to try again, choosing not to quit today. Every time you take that next right step, you create a foundation for the next one. And before you realize it, you're in motion. You're building something real, one decision at a time.